Let us start with a prayer and then we will do the Guru Stotram. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let us chant the Guru Stotram. Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sthavaram Jangamam Vyaptam Yatkinchit Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sarvashruti Shiroratna Virajita Padambujaha Vedantam Bujasuryo Yaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chaitanya Shashvata Shantaha Vyomatito Niranjanaha Bindunada Kalatitaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jnana Shakti Samarudhaha Tattvamala Vibhushitaha Bhukti Mukti Pradata Cha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vidahine Atma Jnana Pradhanena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shoshanam Bhavasindhoscha Jnapanam Sarasampadaha Gurof Padodakam Samyak Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Na Guroradhikam Tattvam Na Guroradhikam Tapaha Tattvajnanat Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mannathaha Shri Jagannathaha Matguruhu Shri Jagatguruhu Madatma Sarvabhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gururadishchanadischa Guruf Paramadaivatam Gurof Parataram Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Namaste to all of you. Happy that we could get together on such an auspicious occasion. Gurupurnima is used to be called Vyasa Purnima. That was the original name for it, has now assumed the name of, also called Gurupurnima. And the reason that it was called Vyasa Purnima is that Vyasa, who is of course the author of, he's the editor, he's really not the author, but the editor of all the Vedas and Mahabharata and so on, all the Smriti and Shruti and Smriti and so on, was the person who connected the Vidya. This is what Swami Dayanandji had said. He's the one who connected the knowledge from his unknown gurus. Because every person has to have a guru. And the original guru is Parameshwara himself, which is already there. There's nothing, no starting of this knowledge. So it's only a revealed knowledge to the various gurus. So Vyasa already had gurus before him. But those are unknown to us. We have a habit of not really spending a lot of time and recording history and just going with the moment. So historical perspective is missing in many cases. But where Vyasa excelled was that he now kind of wrote things down. And from that point on, the legacy of the gurus became more visible to us. And in fact, there are lots of texts available that try to say how this was communicated over time. There are lots of differences, but there is a book called what's it called? It's called the Precepts of Advaita Vedanta. Beautiful book. It was about 50 years ago, published by someone, and it's a very beautiful exposition of the various gurus since Vyasa. Anyway, Vyasa is an important person because he really made it visible, and then later on it was picked up by Gaudapadacharya ji, and then his Shishya Shankaracharya. And then there are lots of other people that came through, Swami Shankarananda, Swami Vidyaranya, and even today, Swami Dayanandji, Swami Maheshanandji, and all of those people continue with this knowledge. And so we are all very grateful to them because it is really due to the unbrokenness of this Vidya that you and I are enjoying the fruits of it. There was a Western author that had said that if you look at all of the ancient cultures, you find that many of them disappeared from this earth because of one thing or the other. So the Roman culture and so on, so Mesopotamia, Greek culture. But there was one culture which has been continuous and nobody has been able to erase it. The Mughals were not able to do it. Buddhism has not able to do it. The British, who enslaved India for so long, were not able to do it, even though they tried very much. And so there is something connecting the Vidya. Ishvara is the one who is saying, no, this is something that cannot be disconnected. Another part of this is that this is a very important thing which should be understood in the context of the Gurupurnima, that this Vidya is communicated by live gurus, not just by textbooks. So, for instance, this is not the time to be critical, but if you look at the Sikh religion, so they believe in 10 gurus. And after that, they said this is the last guru. After that, there is no other guru. 10 gurus have really done it, and it is all in Guru Granth Sahib, their text. And so there is no living guru in the Sikhism. And so people learn from textbooks. And there are some minor teachers that really explain what the textbook is saying and so on. But it's not the same thing. And so this is an important thing, that this is a very subtle science. Swami Dayanand once had said that if you look at classical violin playing, he was just giving an example to music. He was saying that even in something like the playing of a violin and learning the classical music being played in violin, it cannot be done by textbook. Even in singing and so on and so forth. So there's teachers involved who point out, I think you are doing okay, but you need to do something differently. Like that, they all say that. And this is an important thing, really, to say that there is a connection from a live person to a live person. And sometimes our mind says, no, I can figure it out on my own. It has not been done through the whole history. Why do you want to butt your head against this idea that you can do it on your own? You cannot. You can make a lot of progress. You can progress in the sadhana, the path of sadhana for quite a degree, but to really reach self-knowledge, there is a reason for it. The reason is that because of our makeup, because of who we are, how we are born, there is such skepticism in our mind that I can be totally free in this life itself. What Vedanta says is that, it's not a question of taking another life and going to heaven or Swargaloka and all of that. You can do that if you want to, but you don't need to. You need to figure it out right here and then, because this is the truth. To this truth, the human mind has a lot of skepticism. A lot of skepticism. And every day's experiences belies it. You have people saying things to you. There are physical issues that come up. There is coronavirus. There's all kinds of problems that occur. In the midst of that, even if you try to sort of close your eyes and say, Aham Brahmasmi, this, that, or the other, the mind says, what are you talking about? Be realistic. Live a life and deal with the problems. And how can you just do that on your own? A lot of skepticism. And to dispel that skepticism, it needs a lot of help. And a lot of help. You see, this is the thing. If you read books, your books are also with the perspective of a Jiva Atma. Because you can just read a book and says, I don't know, this doesn't make much sense. I'll do it later. So you just put it aside. Put it aside. That's it. You're lost. But only a living person can really guide you. And I think a lot of you, I'll go through some of the testimonials that many of you have given about myself and the teaching and so on in a little bit minute. But I am really very thankful for several people for pointing out that this is an important thing to do. Most importantly, I'm most thankful to Swami Dayanand Ji, because the trust that I have in him in his teaching was more than amply responded by his trust in me. It was just amazing because I took the step of giving up a professional career to study with him for 2.5 years in an ashram. And so he saw some spark in me and he tried to keep it alive. And he was very supportive of me and in fact probably flattered me more than I needed to. He made me the secretary, the very first secretary of the Arsha Vidya Peetham when we broke away from Chinmaya Mission. I was extremely honored by it. And then one of the co-founders of Sailorsburg Ashram, I kept telling him, Swamiji, I do not have the time. He says, doesn't matter. Even if it is just a title, you're just the secretary of the Gurukulam. And it took me like 20 or 15 years of convincing him that, Swamiji, please, can you please appoint someone else? Because I cannot do this, especially when we grew our own area. Anyway, I'm just going too much detail. But I remember one time when he paid me such a beautiful compliment. I cannot believe. I'm very, very thankful to him. This is just our one of many one-on-ones we would just talk about to nobody else in the room. And he said, Vijay, I really admire. He says, I have not seen too many people like this, where you have been able to combine a family life with authentic teaching. And that was the biggest testimonial. Because it's interesting. If you look at the history of this teaching, it comes in three different forms, not segments, but three different forms. One is where a young person, before you get entangled in getting married and getting a job and the rest of the thing, becomes a sannyasi from the very beginning. And the predominant teachers are of this form. They are born sannyasis. They are sannyasis from the very beginning. This is first one. The second one is people who start out in a normal way with becoming a householder, getting a job, getting education, and so on and so forth, and then later on becoming a sannyasi. And as you know, we have a living example of that with Swami Tattvavidananda ji. This is the second one. The third one is where you never give up the household, but at the same time your primary objective remains Brahma Vidya. And that is the type that I am. And it's not easy to do. But once you have seen the authenticity of this knowledge, once you see what it does to you, I could never really do anything else. What else do you want me to do? I think my prarabdha karma is that I have to support my family. I had given a promise. I'm very grateful to my wife, because when I was going there for the 2.5 years, I told her that, listen, if you allow me to study with Swamiji for 2.5 years in a very dedicated environment in a ashram, then I will honor our marital commitment and stay as a family for the rest of my life. I'd given it that, and I want to fulfill that. Nobody believed me. My parents also didn't believe me. Anyway, I'm just going too much into on myself. All I'm saying is that the original point is that this vidya has to be communicated by a live person. I must say that I am also very, very indebted to Swami Paramarthananda ji, because in the year 2000 I had a very severe heart problem. I had a heart attack and I had to go through a bypass, and Most of you were not my students at that time. I had a lot of students before that. I think maybe Sulekha was. So there is some connection between prior to that time and later. But for physical reasons, I had to give up. And I met Swami Paramarthananda ji, and so he was sort of reviewing where you are in your life, and I was quizzing him on his teachings and so on. This year, I think this was in the year 2002, if I recall, where Swami Dayanand ji had a big reunion of all the graduates and so on. Most of them were Swamis. I was one of the few non-Swamis. And I sought Swami Paramarthananda's advice. So what he told me was, Vijay, please get back to teaching. And he said, and then he followed it up with some logic for himself. He says, it wasn't until that I started teaching that this Vidya became clearer to me. It's very easy to fool yourself and say, I think I got it. But really, to get the clarity, you have to test it out. And so he says, if you're serious, I urge you to become a teacher. And then, so I took that to heart. So I'm very grateful to Swami Paramarthananda ji. I'm also very grateful to Swami Viditatmananda as a teacher and as a friend, because as you know, for a number of years, I don't know, 15 years or so, he would come here and stay here, and he stayed with me. And I observed him as a person. And what he had reiterated, what he confirmed, is that most students are as much attracted by the Vidya as by the person who is communicating that Vidya. And many of your emails and letters have really confirmed this. You have said that it was your style, your way of leading the life that has really given us the momentum to do the same thing. This is an interesting thing because the Guru, it's interesting, the word Guru has now become so commonplace. We have a radio station, KNBR, which is a sports radio station. If those of you that live in this area and are interested in sports would know this. So one of the broadcasters, his name is Guru. So and the reason he's called Guru is because he's an expert. He's an expert in predicting who's going to win and so on. So he's called a Guru. Similarly, we have Gurus for this, Gurus for that. The Vedantic Guru is slightly different. And we should understand why. It's not just, praising yourself and saying, I'm the best Guru there can be. Not like that. The reason is this. Suppose you have a professor who is an expert in a given matter. Call it theoretical physics, let's say. And he is in, any of the best colleges and so on. And everybody thinks that is really the person who knows. And he really might be the best person for the theoretical physics for that part. But listen to this. I mean, not listen to this, but just see this. His personal life may be rotten. He may be not being a moral person at all. But there is a certain compartmentalization of his moral life from the subject that he's teaching. And suppose that he is really not a good person to his family and his wife and so on and so forth. But you know what? Students don't need to worry about that. Because all you have to do is to say, does he know the subject very well? And yes, he does. You cannot do that in Vedanta. In Vedanta, because, why can't you do that? Because the person, the vidya that I am communicating, I'm trying to communicate, applies just as much to you as it applies to me. We are all the same Atma. So you cannot separate this high-flying vidya of Aham Brahmasmi and so on and so forth, and yet you have a life which is not consistent with it. And so the two have to be exactly the same. And you know what? You cannot fool people. And I think one of the comments I saw, I think Anjali, I saw a number of your emails just this morning, you had sent to this. Anjali Deshmukh had made that point, that really what impresses me is that I observe your life, how you conduct it. And so this is the same point about the importance of a guru. And the last thing I would say, I think I may have taken up too much time already, is that you may not realize it. And I think this is what Swami Paramarthananda was saying. You may not realize is how valuable you are to me. I don't want to sound as though, I'm doing you a favor. I don't really need to do this and so on and so forth. But I'm just doing it for you. No. Because there is a passage somewhere, I forget where it was, where the student is requesting the guru, the teacher, that there's the verb uses smara. Smara. Smara means please recall. And so recall meaning that it's already there, but just make sure I don't forget it. And can you please give me some refreshing of, it's a refresher. So praptasya prapti means a refresher. In fact, this is interesting. I don't have time to really go through this in more detail, but if I can just make a comment on the second verse of the Guru Stotram. This is this interesting thing. Second verse is Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananchala Shalakaya Chakshuhu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. The English translation of that is my salutations to the Guru who opens the eyes of the one blind due to the darkness of ignorance with the needle coated with the ointment of knowledge. Kind of like a poetic description, but behind that there is a very interesting truth. The truth is the Guru's job is not to create the Vidya, but to reveal the Vidya that you already have. And in this sense, the Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuruhu Unmilitam, all this refers to, just look at this, to the process of operating on a cataract. That's a good example. So what happens is that suppose your eyes are otherwise very healthy. You can see very well, there is nothing wrong with your eye, but there is a coating that comes up which slowly grows to a point where you cannot see very well. And so the doctor who operates on the cataract, all he has to do is to remove the coating. That's it. Your eyes are already healthy. So similarly, the Guru is that this is praptasya prapti, that you are fullness already. It's not that I'm going to create a fullness for you. But it's very possible and very likely, and this is what happens. We are ignorant of the mahima of the enormity of the beauty of myself as a Brahman. I'm not aware of that. And so it's like a cataract. And so the Guru doesn't have to create anything, he just has to reveal. And so every time we have a class and we get together, quite frankly, my own clarity grows because I take you very seriously, and I'm very thankful for you to have given me this chance in the last 20 years to be so dedicated. It's a wonderful thing, because if you weren't there and I didn't have these classes, then I will be pulled in different directions by the family. But I'm very grateful to you, because now even my wife and others, they all say, oh, tomorrow is your class, so today you'll spend some time preparing for it, isn't it, on Friday? I said, yes. Okay, so we won't schedule any sessions on Friday. Wonderful. Wonderful. If you also don't show up and I have to stop the classes, then I would also get involved in some relatively useless things. So I'm very grateful to you as well. And it's been a good partnership. And so before I just look at the chat window, I thought I would just talk a little bit about some of the emails that you have sent. Many of them were sent yesterday. Quite a few came in this morning, so I won't go through all of the details, but I'll just go through. So Jayashree Raj wrote about how amazing this discovery is, and she is very, very thankful that with our help, this discovery was brought into her life. Shweta Arora wrote that, and this is an interesting thing, that the moment she walked into the class for the first time, she knew that the teacher and the teaching has a resonance with her. And the same thing happened with me with Swami Dayanandji. When I first met him, it took me, I think, minutes to say, oh my goodness, this is the person. Because there is a connection in the way that you talk, the way you explain, the way you've met, many of you have said the same thing. Yeah, you've used the same words. I'm very grateful to you that you use the same words. Clarity, depth, dedication. All this really defines the bond between the teacher and the student. Surendra Bhargava has written that he's really grateful for the subtlety of the understanding. He mentioned the Karika because it's a question of slowly becoming more and more advanced in your teaching and your study. So at first you understand that the world has a beginning. Then you understand it has no beginning. And so to go from one to the other, it requires a lot of background. So he was mentioning that. He also mentions that he is very fortunate that I study Swami Maheshananji's books in Hindi, because he is a Hindi-speaking person, Surendra is, and he's been studying a lot of his books on my recommendation. He's very thankful for that, and I think this is a wonderful thing. For those of you that have that vernacular language, I think there is some more to be learned by studying that. Sanjeev Sabharwal wrote that when he first moved from East Coast to West Coast, he was concerned that there might be a break. And this is a theme that many of you have really pointed out, that Panna Bhuva also wrote the same thing, that what really is good is that in a way I have brought the teachings of Swami Dayanandji from the West, from the East Coast to the West Coast. You are all not fortunate enough to have Swami Dayanandji when he was on the West Coast for a long time. So you missed all of that. But one contribution that came about from the Arsha Vidya Center was to bring all of that authenticity into the Bay Area in the continuation. And then the linkages to all the Acharyas, Swami Viditatmanandaji, Swami Tattvavidanandaji, Pratyek Bodhanandaji. And so people appreciate that, and I'm very thankful for that. Maithili Ramakrishnan wrote, as along with Zarina Kaji, both of them made a special point, along with how they appreciate the teaching and so on. Both of them wrote about their very perceptible changes in their own lives. Both of them said that, with this teaching comes a certain calmness, some serenity, and overlooking of the problems. Maithili had written that there was someone in the family who sort of insulted her, and a lot of her own immediate family were saying, how can this person do that to you? And she said, you know what, I ignored it. And she says, I would not have done that previously. So the teaching has given us some real progress in life. And Zarina Kaji writes the same thing. She says that I'm really amazed that in the middle of this chaos, first the political issues in this country, then the coronavirus, and then this whole police brutality and so on. There's a lot going on. And under normal circumstances, you get perturbed by this. And Zarina said that I'm amazed that I'm able to rise above that and maintain my serenity. And she says that she's told me this otherwise, that people are saying, how can you do this? What's going on in you? How come you ignore all this? Glory of Vidya, really. And I think that, so this is Vairagya. So the real progress, just going back to the main subject matter, we have discussed that in some other classes also. So these are all what I would say are road marks. If you feel that you are able to not react to outside things to a certain extent, much better than before, then you are on the right path. You're going in the right direction. And there's more to be done. But this is a good point to say, yes, this is a good mark. Somebody drew a map and said, here you will see this. And if you find it, that you're on the right path. And so this is the right path. The next thing to be done is to complete the Vairagya and adopt Abhyasa. So this is a push-pull. So Vairagya means that it doesn't matter. If your own mind also proposes, I think we should, aren't you concerned that we're going to miss this plane? Doesn't matter. Keep telling that to your mind. Doesn't matter. And why doesn't it matter? Because what matters is me. And I need to have the practice of abhyasa, of discovering the content of me. And the more you do that, you say, I don't need the world to support me. I'm self-supporting. This is what needs to be done further. But these are good pointers, really. These are good road marks. What Maithili wrote and what Zarina Kaji wrote was excellent. Then I think I saw a number of thanking emails this morning. Let me see if I can. So I'll just quickly go through that. Sorry, I don't have enough time. But Kumar Padmani wrote from India that he's grateful that he was able to find the right path, and then he's teaching and he's learning and so on. So wonderful. Um, Larry Lopez wrote that this is also, I'm very happy about this addition of many of the yoga students into Vedanta. Very thankful to Ramanand Patel ji for making this happen. And uh, Larry Lopez wrote that already with the study of practice of yoga, his life was becoming more serene. But then with this opening up of the Vedantic depth to the yoga, he has developed even a greater appreciation for this path, and he's very grateful for that. That's good. Monica Larenas wrote that since she started attending these classes regularly, her sense of clarity has grown, and she's very grateful for that. Anjali Deshmukh, I already mentioned, that she mentions that what impresses her was not just the teaching, but the style of teaching and also the life. And this is what I have tried to do, is that the classes come first. You may not know this, but if I take a small vacation, I don't leave until after Saturday, and I come back before the next Saturday. Sometimes I do miss the Tuesday night class. So I have to provide some equal time for the family, but they all know my dedication is to the classes, and I think the students understand that. Rani Goyal also wrote that now that she is studying more and this becomes a more steadying influence in her life, and she's discovering the very truth of what is happening. Akshay Dalal wrote that he appreciates the transfer of the Vidya from the East Coast to the West Coast, and that live teaching, he appreciates that, so wonderful. Shanti Kumar wrote a very long appreciative letter, and said that he really appreciates the depth and the clarity and the dedication of this teaching. And he made a point, which I also learned a lot from Swami Viditatmananda ji on that also. He made a point that I'm very anxious to make sure that the points I'm covering are clear to you. And if it takes more time, so be it. As you know, my teaching becomes a little slow at times. But I'm very anxious to make sure that I'm able to communicate the point very clearly to you. I remember Swami Viditatmananda ji, this is like in either 2006, I think we were doing Kaivalya Upanishad in the Ben Lomond. Yeah, I think that was the case. Where he was going through some verses, and then it was time to leave. And he says, I think I pretty much covered this, and so on. Then later on that evening, over dinner, he mentioned, Vijay, I did not cover everything I was planning to, and so I'm going to take the same verse again tomorrow. And I said, this is a beautiful thing, because you can say I've covered the verses, let's just go through with it. It is not like that. And so he came back and he reiterated that and added some new points to it. And I says, this is a good dedication to teaching. Because this is what Swami Paramarthananda also was saying, that it may be clear to you, but if it is not clear to the student, then make the attempt to make it. And in that process, your depth also increases. So learning from each other, this is a wonderful thing. So anyway, Shanti Kumar makes that point also. I've seen Satish Jalota's, Greg Askew's, Shashi Aluru, and Thyagu Srinivasan. I have not really read their their comments, but I'm very thankful that so many of you wrote about the teaching and how it has benefited you. So with that, I will close the class and then say a small prayer, and then we will look into any chats that you had commented on the YouTube. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Okay. Wonderful, Krishna. I'll just talk about everybody who's here. That's all. So Krishna Ryan, Jugal and Bimla, Kishore, the Banjaras, Vandana Agarwal, Renu Deswani, Pannabhuva, Zarina, Chandra Dulam, Sushma Bhatia, Anjali, Deshmukh, Anand Gundu, Renu Deswani made a comment, Maithili, Nancy Preston, Jaya and Surinder Chaudhary, Vikram Sadagopan, Shobhana Dalal, Greg Askew, Kirsten from Italy. Kirsten is just an amazing person. She never misses a class. Just incredible. Thank you, Kirsten. Sudha Tomar, Raj Velpuri, Natalia, Sam Dillon, Susma Bhatia, thank you, Sushma, for your comments. Surendra Bhargava, Yuki Askew, Sri Krishna Venkataraman, Sulekha Chaudhary, Lichi Chu, T. Srinivasan, Umid Chopra, Sanjeev Sabharwal, Kumar Padmini, Satish Jalota, Shanti Kumar, B.R. Srinivas, Shashi Aluru, Kalpana Dave, Shankar Narasimhan, Ila Joshi, Prakash Nair, Jayashree Raj, Anita Voss-Heinrich, Akshay Dalal, Greg Askew, I think I'd mentioned, Arvind Taylor, Camille Coates, Ram Mandalam, Tanuja Singh, Varun Vij, one of our newest students, Subhash Jain, Sanjay Sethi, Ashwin Nayak, Umit Chopra, I think I'd mentioned already, Ashish Asthana. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your comments, and thank you for attending the classes, and I look forward to continue the teaching. May God bless us all with good health and dedication. This job is not finished yet for us. We are on our way, and our prayers to Ishvara to protect us until we reach our goal. Thank you all. Hari Om.